I'm Edward Warfield. I'm the publisher of City Biz, and I'm honored today to interview Sam Jacobs, the CEO of Pavilion. Welcome, Sam.
Thank you, Edwin. Great to be here.
Yesterday, you announced a rebrand from Revenue Collective to Pavilion. Can you tell us about the rebrand?
Yeah, absolutely. So, 5 years ago, roughly, back in 2016, I founded a community. At the time, it was called the New York Revenue Collective. And the purpose of the community was and is to support the career development and professional development of my fellow members, all of whom at the time were all close friends in the New York City area. The name Revenue Collective really implied almost an adversarial kind of us versus them mentality, largely because my peers and I, who were all sales leaders at high growth startups, were changing jobs so often being fired. And that word collective sort of meant something in that context. Over the past couple of years, we've grown significantly, and we're now well over 5,000 members all over the world. And really the vision and the mission of what we're trying to do has evolved concurrently. And it's no longer about any kind of adversarial notion. There's no antagonist in the narrative that we see in our vision of the world. Really, the world that we see and the world that we believe is possible is a world where people all over the world are bound together by a common set of values, those values underscoring the idea that you give before you get, that nice folks can finish first, that business does not have to be cutthroat in order for people to succeed, and that people can have the careers that they've always dreamed of through community and through the services that we've built. So we felt like that's an evolution of the original premise. And as a consequence, we wanted a name that spoke to that evolution, that spoke to personal ambition and aspiration and personal achievement, and didn't connote any kind of defensive-ness in any way. And so yesterday, we announced that we are now Pavilion. Additionally, if you listen to sort of what I'm saying, the ideas aren't really specific to sales and marketing leaders who were the original audience and the original community founding members. We believe that a world where people come together in mutual support, out of compassion, out of a sense of decency, and out of a sense of and a belief that everybody can win by everybody helping each other. We don't believe that's specific to sales and marketing. We believe that's true of every profession and every function. And we wanted a name that reflected the ability for anybody from wherever you are and whatever your background is and wherever you grew up and whatever your educational background is and however old you are and whatever you look like, that everybody would be welcome under one Pavilion. And so that's the name, Pavilion.
The company also announced a $25 million investment by the VC firm of Elephant. How will this funding support the growth of Pavilion?
Well, in a number of different ways. Yesterday, we announced not just the name, but we announced a new kind of experience level. Historically, we'd had two levels: associate for people that were in their 5 years of work experience, sort of director level, up to VP, and then we had an executive community for people that were VP and above. Yesterday, we announced that we now have an analyst level for people that are in their first years of work, their first professional experience. So we have an entire new community. Concurrently with that, we announced and launched Pavilion University. Pavilion University has 13 different schools that are all part of Pavilion University that our members all have access to. All but one of those is included in membership. And we also announced 2 acquisitions. And so the financing really is in support of that vision being a world where we continue to invest in learning programs, training, and certification, professional certifications for our members so that we can train them to have careers in the modern era. Also, we believe that the infrastructure that we've built through Pavilion can support any number of functional communities. And we want everybody to believe that if they want to start a community, a professional community, that Pavilion is a great home for it. And so we will be pursuing both organic growth, meaning making our products and services better and better and better for our members, but also reaching out to fellow community leaders to see if they want to participate in the vision and ambition that we've articulated. And so we will use the financing to invest in learning programs, invest in in-person events, and also invest in additional partnerships and acquisitions with other communities.
And can you provide a snapshot of Pavilion today in terms of members, chapters, offerings, partnerships?
Absolutely. So yesterday we also announced that we've crossed over 5,000 members. So we're 5,000 members strong all over the world. We've got about 50 chapters in almost all of the major cities where there is high growth startup activity happening. Our largest chapters are New York, London, Boston, and San Francisco. But we've got chapters in Munich, and we've got chapters in Saskatoon, Canada, and we've got chapters in Chicago, of course, and in Dallas, and in Austin, and in Singapore, and in Sydney, Australia. So 50 chapters, roughly about 5,000 members. And really what we offer is the concept of this idea of career enablement. So the context for all of this is that the average tenure for high growth executives is very, very short. When you reach the VP level or above, it's just a year and a half. It's about 17 months. People are changing jobs more often than ever, and that volatility can create and wreak a lot of havoc on people's careers. And people that are entering the workforce all the way to people that are thinking about retirement, they've never had less clarity on the mechanism through which they can lead a successful and fulfilling career, that they can have the impact that they want to have, make the money that they want to make, and realize and achieve what they believe is the greatness within them. And so we've built everything around this concept of trying to provide that to our members, trying to provide a platform for people to have the career that they seek. So that falls into three broad buckets. The first is peer-to-peer learning and mentorship, where people can connect in groups, online, in person, one-on-one, to get and answer questions that are related to their jobs, to find mentors and coaches, and to receive assistance. The second big bucket is training and certification, to the point of launching Pavilion University. We have an entire suite of programs that we invest in, and there will be many, many more. We envision that every major functional job within an operating company will have a series of courses and schools that are part of Pavilion membership that our members can take. So we started with Chief Revenue Officer School, CRO School, but as I mentioned yesterday, we announced a total of 13 schools, including Chief Customer Officer School, Chief Marketing Officer School, Revenue Operations School, Customer Success School. So we're rolling out tons and tons of schools, and there's going to be many, many more. And that's the second big bucket. And the third big bucket is what we call career services. And that's really where we help our members navigate the vagaries and all of the different factors that go into changing jobs, picking jobs, finding jobs, and finding talent. And so every week, over 100 different opportunities are circulated within the Pavilion membership, and we explicitly help people find jobs. We help them find other resources like resume reviewers and career coaches, and we also help them find talent because, of course, our community of 5,000 includes some of the best and brightest in all of high growth land.
So Pavilion recently acquired FinOps and SDR Defenders. Can you describe these communities and the impact that they're having on Pavilion?
Absolutely. So as I mentioned before, part of the financing is going to be focused on helping us acquire and integrate community leaders and their communities that share our values and that share our mission and vision of the world. And so FinOps is a small community of about 500 people focused on FinOps, financial operations. And we are, with the launch of Pavilion, launching a finance pavilion for finance professionals. And specifically, we think that the FinOps community can support the growth of our analyst and associate communities within the finance pavilion. SDR Defenders, SDRs are sales development representatives. And so SDR Defenders is a community of people that are SDRs and that are really in their first 5 years of work experience largely. SDR, sales development representatives, are people that find meetings and create meetings on behalf of salespeople. And this community, SDR Defenders, was actually formed through connections made under what was then Revenue Collective. We are acquiring SDR Defenders for the 5 amazing people that started that community, but also for the 4,000 people that are part of that community that we think could benefit immensely from membership as analysts, associates, and executives within Pavilion.
And so, what are some of the new university offerings?
As I mentioned earlier, the new ones there are a few of them. The first is, the themes are executive level education and certification. That's theme number one. So that's where CRO school, CMO school, Chief Marketing Officer school, CCO school, Chief Customer Officer school, that's where those schools come into play. The second, our theme is sort of boot camps that are designed to get people quickly into shape and to level them up on specific tactical skill sets. So we are announcing SDR boot camp for the people that I mentioned, so that we can train people that are new to the workforce on best practices in terms of generating demand and generating meetings. We're also launching a Excel for Business boot camp, so that people that need to learn how to use Microsoft Excel and generally spreadsheets in general can have access to those. So that's sort of the second bucket, which is sort of boot camp, highly focused, intense periods of development. And then the third bucket, if the first is executive level programming, the second is boot camps for high intensity training. The third is really schools and programs for people that are earlier in their career. So yesterday we announced Sales School, and Sales School is going to be a multi-week program that people go through to learn and manage sales process, sales cycles, negotiation, closing, etc. The full suite of what it takes to initiate and close a deal in 2021. And we also announced Customer Success School, because that's an emerging function for people that once the sale is made, we want to retain our customers, and that's what that school will be focused on.
And so you've touched a little bit on your growth plans, but are there any other parts of your growth plan that you want to share with us?
I think what I'd like to share is a vision of the world and why we're doing what we're doing. There are a lot of professional associations out there. There are a lot of different ways that people can get training and certification. What is unique about what we're doing at Pavilion? I think what we're doing is unique because of our values. For most technology companies, the lines of code are their technology. They are the mechanism through which they automate process, replicate, and scale, ultimately. For us, our values are our technology. We envision a world, and because it's a paid membership, it's not going to be everybody, right? If there's 3 billion people on Facebook, if there's 800 million people on LinkedIn, we envision a smaller world. Maybe it's only 1 million people, maybe it's 500,000, but it's a world where everybody that is part of that world shares the same set of values and abides by our code of conduct. Our code of conduct underscores mutual respect. It underscores responsiveness and responding to fellow members. It underscores no spamming, no direct solicitation that's unwanted or unwarranted, and instead people doing business by providing support, advocacy, and help. And fundamentally, that all of us in this world give before we get. That we're not viewing relationships as transactional. We don't believe the world is zero sum. We believe that nice folks finish first. We believe that by helping other people, it's not just altruistic. There's no sacrifice that's being made. Helping other people is a means through which you can achieve your own personal success. That's the world that we're building. That's what our growth plans are all fundamentally about, creating that world, investing in that world, and helping it come to fruition.
Sam, I want to thank you for sharing your expansive vision. And it sounds like yesterday was an exciting day, and that Pavilion is on a new trajectory with a very, very broad and all-encompassing vision. So thank you for your time, and we wish you the best of luck.
Thank you, Edwin. Thanks for having me. It's been great to be here.